Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fuck Wellness. My name is Lara,
I'm Mallory.
And I'm McKenna.
and who's excited to record today? Because I am.
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand. Both my hands are up. I'm really excited. It's my turn to present. Um, so I'm just getting up my notes right now. Do either of you feel like you know what my topic is? Because I'd be surprised if you would guess it.
Do
But
you
maybe.
remember your last one was music?
I thought I did like porn. No, we all did like the porn, right? And then my last solo one was music, right?
Oh, yes. But yeah, you did music. And I remember I was like, I never would. Like, it was such a good topic, but I never would have guessed that you would have done music for it, you know? Not like you, it makes sense, but just because music is like not a topic I think you would have traditionally thought of with wellness, but it worked perfectly. So anyway, this is all to say, I have no idea.
I unfortunately know because
McKenna,
Are you kidding?
Laura, you literally moments ago, an hour ago, told me
No,
without
I did
meaning.
not.
Yeah, you didn't mean to. You were reading something to me, and it was in the message, and now I know what it is.
You're right. Oh,
But that's okay.
okay, can you give me a hint?
that is my bad. I was like, no, I didn't tell you. Okay, my hints are as follows.
Okay.
And McKenna, you can tell me if these hints are even
Okay.
My hints were so good. I was just editing the caffeine podcast and I was like, my hints were so good for you guys.
No,
they were really good.
They were great. We weren't getting it.
Ryan was listening and was like, how did they not get it?
We were not on the same page.
No. So my first hint is Katy Perry wrote a song about this.
Okay. That's it. That's the only hint I'm getting.
It's the one that goes,
Is it Roar?
Fireworks?
Hold on, let me sing.
Okay.
You know, change your mind like a girl changes clothes. Yeah, you.
Hot and cold?
Right, Ken?
Yeah, hot and cold now. That's it. That's the song.
Go with that.
I mean, Katy Perry was my first concert ever, so.
I thought you were going to say first crush.
I also thought you were going to say first crush. I was going to say talk more about that.
Yeah, I don't think so actually. Hot and cold. Saunas? Like ice baths?
Ooh.
I don't know, like the hot, like back and forth. Did I already get it?
Yeah, you basically got it. I don't have to read any of the other 7 clues I made for you. No, that's literally it, Mal.
Like temperature therapy?
You're extremely smart. That's exactly it.
Okay, cool. Good. That makes me feel good. That's a confidence booster for tonight.
Yeah. I mean, you're good at riddles, Mal.
Thank you. This is really, I feel hyped up tonight.
Guess I don't have to sing any more songs, which is kind of sad. But yeah, my topic is, a little hot and cold, a little sauna, and a little ice bath, because
wow, I literally got...
No, we know about. So I think that, I don't know, I feel like I have wanted to look more into the science on these things because, one, maybe it's my algorithm, but I'm seeing so many videos of people getting tubs and doing their own ice baths, or people, having like a sauna routine, kind of in their wellness toolbox. And I think that, like, I really enjoy it. Like, I feel really lucky that McKenna and I go to a gym that has like a hot sauna and a steam sauna, like, for as much shit as we give our gym, because it is like a time capsule of the 1960s. Like, it does have 2 saunas, which is amazing. It'd be awesome if they had a cold pool, but
it'd be so. I was thinking about that today, actually, when I was in the sauna. I was like, that would be so elite if they had a cold plunge pool.
Elite.
Lara,
yeah.
Are you gonna tell your sauna story in the podcast?
I can start out with that.
I was like, I mean, if you want, you don't have to.
No, I mean, honestly, the only part of the story that's juicy is that I was just like, at the sauna at our gym, I don't actually, Ken, I have a question. When you go in the sauna, do you go fully nude?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, it's pretty like
after my workout, if I don't have time, like today I just went in my clothes in the dry sauna, but I would never step foot with clothes in the wet sauna.
right. Yeah, no. I would say it's like more common than not to just everyone is in the full nude in the saunas. And I had done this like workout class with like a few people who were very attractive and we all went in the wet sauna together, which is like hot, steamy like sauna normally. But that day we went in and it was kind of broken and we were all just sitting there in pretty thin amount of steam, kind of just all sitting there and waiting for it to kick on. And after about 5 minutes, we all look at each other and we're like, I think it's broken. And I guess there was a trick where if you pour water into one part of the wall, it'll kick on, but it kicks on like in overdrive, like it thinks that it's just waking up for the first time, almost going from no steam to full steam. And I thought I was going to die when it kicked on because I was trying to keep it real cool and chill, but this sauna was pumping steam in for like 6 minutes to the point where my legs, because I was laying back with my legs up, I had to sit up because it felt like my legs were on fire because they were higher to the ceiling. And then I kept trying to breathe and it felt like my lungs were being burnt because of the temperature of the steam. And it finally turns off and I just turned to everyone. I'm like, I thought we were going to die, you guys. That was
And if you were
terrifying.
wondering what hell is like, it is like this.
Yes, it's that. But I was also like, if I'm gonna have to die somehow, like if this is the way I go.
Yeah.
But yeah, even since then I've been in the steam sauna and timed the amount that it kicks on when it's working normally. I legitimately think it went for like 6 minutes. It's supposed to only go for maybe 30 seconds. The pumping of steam. Whatever. I didn't die. I did, however, then immediately watch a YouTube video, which I don't recommend to people, but there is a YouTube video out there explaining the science of what happens to your body when people do die in a hot sauna and the amount of time it takes for your organs to shut down and for your heart to stop. So yeah, maybe if you're interested, you can maybe watch like the first 4 minutes of that. But let's get into it, yeah?
Yeah.
So, sauna. It is a Finnish word meaning earth pit or snow pit. The first saunas that literally were recorded maybe 2,000 years ago, at least 2,000 years ago, were kind of big caves draped in animal skins that had actual fire burning inside with stones, and you would extinguish the fire, and as the smoke from that fire wafted through the cave, it would keep it kind of steamy. I would imagine really smoky and you would be coughing a lot, but people of that time thought that the smoke was a what am I trying to say? Had a cleansing property.
I was gonna say like purifying agent.
Yes, a purifying agent. Cave saunas served as washrooms, kitchens, hospitals, and birthplaces. And yeah, so they thought the smoke kind of sterilized the whole area.
It sounds like, was there like a ritualistic aspect to it?
Yes, very ritualistic. And because saunas were those places, those caves were where people had their last moments and their first moments on earth, and where a lot of celebrations and ceremonies were had, people believed that the caves bestowed magical powers to those that entered them, and a mystical sauna spirit was present in those places. So they were really respected, but also the power was sometimes feared, which some articles linked that fear to like the magical sense that when people kind of were moving away from that in history, that's when saunas kind of had a low point of, because I feel like I don't remember what it was called really, but I think it's maybe, yeah, I don't know. But basically there was a lull in saunas and saunas being built because there was a move away from anything that had to do with magical powers and a move towards religion and like structure in that way, because religion was like, well, don't believe in that, cave spirit magic, believe in our priest or whatever. So yes, and yes, most of the articles that I looked at were looking at saunas, ancient saunas in like Estonia, Latvia, Russia, Finland, like Baltic countries, but archaeologists know that sauna traditions and sweat lodges are universally connected to religious ceremonies in many Native American tribes everywhere. Like that is pretty known since maybe about 2000 BCE, but honestly, who knows? And just a quick fact, because I feel like I've seen this fact in so many YouTube videos of people doing sauna things, is that they say that like, oh, well, did you know that in Finland there are more saunas than cars? Or like, have you ever heard that fact? People say
No.
that. Oh, I feel like it's pretty common and random. It's kind of like a Pinteresty quote that has gotten around. It's not actually correct. There are not more saunas than cars, but there are a lot. So that's history of the hot. History of the cold. So therapeutic hypothermia has been practiced for about 5,000 years. First official mention is by Edwin Smith Papyrus in a medical treatise outlining the treatments of various injuries and ailments around 3,500 BCE. They also have discovered ancient Egyptian texts, which I think is a bit further back than that, that say that polymath and advisor to the pharaoh Zoser, I don't know which pharaoh that was, I haven't heard of them before, but they were pharaoh, suggest that using cold applications was really common for skin conditions, I guess. If people were out working and had skin ailments, they would use cold treatments, which makes sense. So that's Egypt a long time ago. Ancient Rome, Iceland, and India have also been known to use them. In Greece, Hippocrates wrote about humors, which this part, I'm like, you were onto something. Hippocrates wrote about humors, or particular liquids in the body that can control a person's health, and that if the liquids were out of balance, the person should undergo cold water treatments. Which I'm like, that is true, and you're correct. And I'll talk about that later, Hippocrates. In 1800s, surprise cold showers or baths were used to treat, quote, raging excitement or a libido that was too strong. So if you were too horny, they would dump a bucket of cold water onto a naked patient or dunk them in an ice bath.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
True. Which I feel like that's also like such a, I don't actually know for a fact, but like, you know how people are like, oh, go take a cold shower or whatever, like if you're
Yeah.
feeling a little too hot and heavy. I've never done that, but
I feel like a cold
Well, I feel
shower
like
to
it, like,
wake you up.
yeah, I think it serves the same purpose. Jumpstarts your system.
Yeah, I don't know. It gives me an adrenaline rush. So I feel like it would kind of boost me up rather than.
But I feel like
down.
adrenaline like overtakes arousal.
Right. Yeah. It's a stronger feeling maybe. Anyways, moving on to the health. Does anyone have any questions about the history that I've just briefly outlined? I hope not, because I don't have much other info.
No, I liked the history.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So moving into the health. And for this part, it's going to be more talking about cold baths, I suppose, because there's a difference between cold plunging and like a polar plunge, right? Like someone jumping into an icy lake for 2 seconds is a very different experience for the body than sitting in a cold tub for like 5 to 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So this is more of a tub thing. So initially, when you get into your cold tub, there is a big blood flow. There's an increase of blood flow to your skin because your skin is like, oh my gosh, I'm really cold all of a sudden. Please get me more blood to my skin so that my skin tissue doesn't cool down too much so we can protect that area. But then the brain is like, no, this cold is actually too cold for that to happen. We need to actually constrict all the blood vessels to protect the vital organs. So all the blood goes out and then it kind of constricts in because we're like, yeah, our fingers are nice, but we actually need to survive. Like we need the core to be tight, to be hot. So all this vasoconstriction happens in your arms, your legs, your head, even your eyeballs feel like a vasoconstrictive effect. And your blood is protecting your heart, your kidneys, your liver, pancreas, ovaries, everything that your body's like, if we have to survive, these are the things that I want to keep working. And that kind of vascular like pumping is super good if you have joint pain or inflammation in your extremities, because as your blood is pumping back to your core, there's such a reduction of fluid in your extremities. And the reduction of fluid is like reduction of pressure, reduction of nerve pain, like everything like that. I wonder, this would be great for your knee, Ken, because it's an extremity.
Like cold therapy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like a really big ice bath for your knee, and then
Yeah.
I don't know, we should look into getting a tub for that maybe. Okay. So I feel like this is like I kind of vaguely knew about these benefits when I was in college because we would cold tub after every C workout, which is like our C workouts are a big sprint workouts on the erg. And I feel like in college we would all go down to the cold tub because it was kind of a fun, like, oh, let's all cram in a cold tub together and like laugh about our silly workout or whatever. And I think part of my brain was like, yes, that's fun. And there are health benefits, but also maybe it's just placebo of me doing this act after a hard workout. And my brain just thinks it's going to be good for my healing. But after, you know, reading all of this, I'm like, yeah, no, it probably truly reduced my pain and discomfort after the high intensity movement that we did every week. And it's really, really good if you want to jump into similar exercise the next day and not have your limbs feel absolute shitty. Yeah. So, have y'all heard of Wim Hof?
Yeah, I just wrote his
I
name
love
down
Wim
because I
Hof.
was going to ask about him. So,
Ah, nice. So what have you heard about Wim Hof?
oh my God, so much. And like
Yeah.
my boss at work, like my old boss, was obsessed with the Wim Hof method and like would not stop talking about it. So I've watched like many YouTube videos. And then when I was on an airplane, they had the Goop series, which you know how we all feel about Goop, but I did watch the Wim Hof one. And
Yeah.
anyway, I know a lot about him, but I don't, I feel neutral.
Yeah. Ken?
I've kind of like logged it as an extreme, like to be able to do some of the things that he does. However, I did his breath work for like, I want to say 1 or 2 months straight, and it made like a huge significant difference in my day to day. So
That's
I've
awesome.
been meaning to actually start that again now that, and also remember like earlier this week I told Lara that in February I was gonna try and take a cold shower every single day. So we're
Yes.
like, it's all
Yeah.
coming together.
Well, I want to talk about that
Okay.
because I feel like it was hard because you kept telling me about how you wanted to do cold showers and like how you were like going in the sauna, and I was like, like, Lara, don't make it seem like this is your topic. And then I straight up just literally told you. So yeah, Wim Hof, I have some feelings. I think similarly, I think it's really impressive the things that he's done. I do, however, kind of have a bit of a problem with like the whole rebranding and repackaging of a practice that has been around for thousands of years and maybe selling it for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on his website, which like whatever, get your bag, but also you're teaching someone how to breathe. I don't know. I think it's like, I'm a little conflicted about him. But anyways, a quote from Wim Hof. He said, "Cold is merciless. It shows you where you are and what you are." And I kind of think that I got a little sidetracked in my research of really diving deep into the cold part and not so much of the hot part, because I think the cold, it's just really like, it's really powerful. And I think that with something where you have no choice but to surrender to it in order to do it, I think that's really cool. And yeah, it's kind of the cold mixed with the breath. And basically a lot of articles talked about how there's no way to out fitness the cold. No one can be stronger than the cold. Everyone has to, if you want to stay in the cold tub, you literally have to just surrender to it. And yeah, I just think that that's cool, and that you have to get a hold of your breath if you want to have a chance at it. So next thing, when you're in the cold tub, your central nervous system starts to produce a hormone neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. I feel like we've talked about this before. It's an anti-stress hormone. Norepinephrine helps with blood vessel constriction, boosts levels of energy, attention, and focus on your brain. Epinephrine is also released, which is basically adrenaline, and that's what makes you feel that invigorated like sense when you're in a cold shower or, you know, in a really cold tub. But those same things are kind of the things that are released when you're in freeze, fight, flight, because it's that same, like, you know, time slows and your body kind of goes into shock. So in the first 30 seconds, your body is telling you, please remove me from this situation right now. You start to breathe more rapidly, your blood flow increases, your heart rate increases. And so for the first 30 seconds, because you're in fight, fight, freeze, I'm pretty sure this is a real thing, but the time actually feels slower than it is, because the time kind of slows and your primal brain is kind of telling you like, please get out of here or else we will die. Please get out of here or else we will die. Like those kind of narratives. So the deep, slow exhalations are really key, because to get your sympathetic nervous system out of overdrive, the only way to activate your parasympathetic nervous system is to do those long, deep exhalations. And once you do get a handle on your breath, your dilated pupils will finally start to constrict, your saliva glands will start working again, heart rate will slow, you'll settle into your rest and digest or feed and breed responses instead of fight, fight, freeze. And most people say that after the first 30 seconds, the pain does fade, and 2 minutes is mostly where people call the bliss point, which is where your stress levels actually start to drop and your like the calming meditative part kind of kicks in. And I definitely feel like that's what I've experienced in cold tubs, is that if you get to the 2-3 minute mark, you're chilling. You know, you shouldn't like push it, but you could stay in there for much longer if you needed. And yeah, your brain just is kind of calm, and if you keep that breathing going, it's just all groovy, baby. Like dopamine starts to get released. You have a big dopamine dump, and the dopamine kind of is the aftermath of the high adrenaline at first, but after the dopamine kind of sits in, it's like you just feel happy, satiated. And that's why people, I think, continue to cold plunge and cold tub and buy all these tubs, because your brain is wired to just keep chasing the dopamine dumps. So yeah, I think that it's all super cool. And the cold shower thing, Wim Hof has his stats, which I haven't been able to double check with sciencey articles, but per Wim Hof, a cold shower or a cold plunge, he kind of uses the same numbers for both, which I'm like, I don't know that they would be exactly the same. But he says that norepinephrine is measured to go up 530% and your dopamine rises 250%. So pretty good numbers.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay. Anywhere in your research, did you find like a length of time that would be like what's the word I'm looking for? A standardized length of time that would be like too much for people? Like, say someone's listening to this podcast and they're like, I'm going to go do I'm going to go in my cold tub. Is there like a goal that they should have, or should they just stay in as long as they should? And is there a time that is like, okay, if you get past this time, that's where like negative things can start happening?
Yeah, well, I think it really depends because one, all of your cold tubs aren't going to be exactly the same temperature. Most of the articles said about 8 to 10 minutes is your sweet spot. But again, and I think one said like 14 is kind of what should be your cap at any one session, because a lot of people, and I'll talk about this later, will alternate hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. But I think it really depends. Like if you're doing, a cold plunge and then you're going to jump into your soft PJs or your hot shower or whatever, maybe you could do like 10 to 14. But if you're doing a cold plunge and you're in Iceland in a frozen lake, and when you get out of the lake, you're still going to be extremely cold, like I would not push it far at all. I would maybe do 5 minutes, because like that's, I think, because I looked at some articles about kind of the health dangers, and it's people who do push it too far where, your body is still in the freak out of like thinking that I'm in a cold shock response. And especially if people submerge their heads, that can be really dangerous, because it's like your whole body temperature is dropped, and then if you get out and you're still cold, it will like trigger hypothermia pretty much, if the air is really cold. But I think that another article on safety, I would just say, like, if you're gonna cold plunge, like do it with a buddy at first and don't push it. Kind of like build up your tolerance. Yeah. But they say that some people, when they do cold plunge, the calming effects come from just like sitting and breathing. But if you're in a really cold pool or a really cold lake and you're moving around and like trying to like you're gasping instead of deep breathing, you can drown extremely fast, because your heart will get so much pressure on, like there will be so much stress on your heart, and you're going to be moving around, like it's not going to be good. So and people, like once you get into that cold, I think you can lose a lot of your coordination and your strength. You think that you're stronger than you are, and you're not. If you're like, oh, I can easily body myself out of this lake, like no, you can't.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like scary when sometimes people do it in outdoor conditions without researching or planning. Yes. I even remember sometimes in high school, it's so dangerous, but like we have friends / I did it sometimes with like cliff jump off of like these big rocks into this river. And like I remember one time one of our friends did it, and when they hit the water, they couldn't talk because like the impact, and then also how cold the water was like inhibiting their responses. So I think it can get scary quickly.
Yeah. And also, yeah, true, the brain responses, like you might forget how to speak and forget how to swim. Like it can be very dangerous. And even I think, yeah, it's literally cold shock. And one article said that the most dangerous time is actually the first 10 seconds to a minute, because in that time if people do not get their breath under control, it's very risky. But I will say, for just the differing of like what I was saying at the beginning, polar plunges, that's not really what I'm talking about. Those are like horrifyingly freezing temperatures, and those are things that you absolutely do not want to do by yourself. And I didn't really research those, but those were more just like jump in, jump out, like people doing New Year's Day cold plunges, polar bear plunges, that sort of thing. Cold plunges, the water is no colder than kind of 55 degrees or 13 Celsius. I think it's quite a big difference. But I think, like, I don't know, if you're wanting to kind of get into it, maybe I would say, like, do cold showers at first, because you're not going to drown, hopefully, in the cold shower. Yes, Mallory?
Thank you, Professor Vanderbilt. Two questions. My first is that, so then you're saying there's inherent value in being in cold water, regardless of whether or not you're jumping in and quickly getting out, or like in a cold shower where like you're probably not doing a ton of deep breathing. So I guess that's part one. And part two, I guess, with cold showers, it sounds like Wim Hof is saying like the most benefit you can get from cold water is like sitting in it, or like not even sitting, but just like really like pausing and letting your body relax, which doesn't really sound like what you do and most people would do in a cold shower. Like the people I know who do a cold shower, it's not like they get in and just stand under the cold water and like deep breathe for 5 minutes. Like, you know, maybe they do. Well, I don't think that they do, but some people might do that. So I'm just curious, I guess, on what, like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Kind of.
Okay.
I feel like the first question you were trying to say is there's the same benefit with just jumping in and getting straight out. So I don't even know. I didn't look into what polar plunges are like for the body and what benefits those have. I think the biggest thing that I learned is that if you are going to do cold therapy, that's very much like a breath work exercise. Like you are not just getting in there, freaking out, and then getting out. Like, I think.
So it might not inherently have anything to do with the cold water. It's
No,
more how you react to the cold water.
Yes. I literally just think the cold water serves as a stress trigger to then make your body decide, am I going to freak out, or am I going to figure out how I can stay in this? Wim Hof and just cold therapy in general, if you're thinking about it separate from the benefits of the vascular system getting kind of worked over, it's all about whether you're going to do breathing before or after. Because Wim Hof, I think with his cold therapy, it's a lot of like breath work before, breath work during, breath work after. For me, it's like even just getting in a cold plunge pool and like breathing, that is the actual benefit. You know, I think I would agree that most people who say, oh, I'm going to do cold showers this year, probably aren't sitting in the cold shower with their eyes closed, trying to just concentrate on their breathing, right? Because it's really hard, like really hard.
That was my goal for cold showers, is like I've been thinking about this for truly a year, and I just like have not wanted to do it because it's hard.
So hard.
And I've done it a couple times over the last few months, and like my body's reaction is so, like when cold water hits me, I get a lot of like neck pain. Like it's really however my nerves are, you know, set up, like it hurts my neck. And so it's just something that I think that I could work through. And eventually I have this dream of building my own sauna. I've had this dream for like so many years. And if I want to build my own sauna, I want a cold plunge as well. But I don't feel like I can justify it if I can't do like consistent cold showers. So that's my plan.
I honestly do think that a cold shower in my mind is much harder than getting in a cold tub and just making yourself sit there.
Yeah. But there's like, if you don't have resources for, like some people do like freezers or whatever, but like we don't have a spot for a freezer in our house, right? So like,
right, yeah. And no, literally I was like, okay, well, what if we get a big bucket that we put outside of the window to our bathroom, and then we can stick the shower hose outside and just put ice cubes. It's not a plan that's going to work, but I was trying to think how we in our apartment can have a cold tub. That actually, like, so cold showers, I had like an ex in college that we would take a shower and they would force me like under, they would basically put on the cold water and just force us to be in cold shower, which has been hard to, whenever I'm in the cold shower trying to make myself do it, I'm like triggered, but
TBT.
Separate story. McKenna can vouch for this. Like, I was cooking with fumes today. I was so angry at the gym, like very upset.
Lara would walk up to me, talk for 2 minutes, and then just without saying a word, turn around and walk away. Like, okay,
I was fumina, like so angry. And so today, after the workout, I got in the steam sauna and I made a deal with myself that I would go in the steam sauna for a little, and then I had to go into the cold shower and stay for at least 20 breaths. I shook my own hand. I was like, we have to do this. I get in the cold shower, and I think maybe my new favorite part about this, and why I am also going to try my hardest to do cold showers because they are extremely painful, is because I could not think about what was making me so angry at all. There's no way to think about anything else other than fuck, it's cold, inhale, fuck, it's cold, exhale, and just keep doing that like over and over again because it's so cold. I had it so cold, but I did my 20 breaths and I'm really proud of myself.
Wow.
Yeah, anything else on the cold before I quickly finish up with the hot?
No, I just feel like this is solidifying that I have to like keep my word and do February.
Oh yeah, I think
it's kind of one of those things that like you only get better at by doing it more.
Yes. Yeah, and so many videos and articles are out there, not with such concrete scientific evidence, but just people's own anecdotal evidence of, I had so much anxiety, I had so much XYZ, and I've been doing my cold Wim Hof exposure, and it's like so much better. So
yeah. So that was my primary reason, is mental health stuff. And yeah, I know that there's a 99% chance that it will make things better.
Oh yeah, why not try?
Yeah.
So the hot. So sauna bathing increases your core body temperature, kind of mimicking a mild fever, and as a result, your immune system triggers a little bit, and you do get a good increase of white blood cells, lymphocytes, neutrophils, and interferons, which is the body's antiviral army. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
It also has a relaxing effect because it does release endorphins like the beta endorphin, which is a substance that improves your mood, energy, sense of calm, and pain tolerance, which is pretty cool. There is this one study that I want to talk about. It was in a Harvard Health magazine article that I'll attach. But the University of Eastern Finland, which I was like, of course, Finland was doing this cool research study. They tracked 2,300 middle-aged men for an average of 20 years. So it's a 20-year-long research study. They categorized the men into 3 groups according to how often they used a sauna each week. The men that spent an average of 14 minutes per visit baking in the 175-degree Fahrenheit heat. Oh, okay. So that was like, sorry. So when people, I'm gonna start over. So when the men were in the sauna, it would be for 14 minutes, baking at 170 degrees Fahrenheit feet. Over the course of this study, 49% of the men that went into the sauna once a week died, versus 38% of those who went into the sauna 2 to 3 times per week. And only 31% died. That's really dark when we're measuring death. But only 31% of those who went 4 to 7 times a week died. So people are doing like daily trips to the sauna, and it's pretty associated with lower death rates from specifically looking at cardiovascular disease and stroke. The researchers
We're talking about like length, how long it was before they died, right? Because like,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. After the 20 years. So they looked at like a specific, like people aged maybe like, I'll have to look into it, but maybe people aged like average age of 70, and then looking at 20 years from then. If they did sauna 7 days a week, then out of that chunk,
I see.
31%.
I was like, well, I mean, we do all die.
No,
so,
yeah.
You know.
And some of them live forever.
Yeah. Some of them are still alive today, 190 years old.
Yeah. So I tried to look into research connecting the benefits of health from when you combine the two, the cold water therapy with your sauna use. And I didn't get a whole bunch. Basically, the summary is that for your body, if you're going into the hot and then the cold and then the hot and then the cold, the blood vessels that are dilating in the cold tissue to kind of warm up your body and go to your core, when you go to the hot, it kind of relaxes and goes back out to your extremities, and then you're back into your core and then out. So that's like a benefit for your veins. But yeah, so that's a circulation benefit, but there's also a benefit of using both with increased sleep, because the hot showers and the sauna combined help you fall asleep quicker and get a deeper sleep. So
I think that mostly has to do with core temperature, the sleep thing.
Yes.
Because in the sleep book that I just finished, it talked a lot about how, like, when you take a hot bath before bed, like
increasing your core temperature,
because it helps your core temperature, not because it like relaxes you, which is like a good thing as well, but because of the way that the blood moves.
And that's kind of interesting, because if you want to do hot, cold, for us, whenever we were ending our hot, cold, or just ending our cold plunges after doing workouts in college, if you were going to go into the hot tub, it was always recommended to start with cold. You could go back and forth as many times as you want, but always end with cold. Like, do not end on hot. However, if your goal is to get a really good night's sleep, I would end on hot 100%. Hold on. So yeah, but if your goal is not to go to bed, it's actually to get kind of a jump on your day. If you're doing it all in the morning, then I would end with cold, obviously. What else?
Did you learn anything about hot fitness classes?
No, I did not.
About this if we want.
Oh man, we have a place like that in Boulder, and every time I pass by it, it's almost the definition of like a fad fitness thing in my brain, or like,
well, okay. But it can be dangerous, because the difference between
it's like you're paying
a sauna,
yes,
like the
It's like
difference
you're
between
paying
a
for
sauna and like hot yoga, it's okay. Is like in a
That's gonna be
sauna,
hell.
you're like relaxing. Like it's like you're not putting any more stress on your body other than sitting there. But if you're in a hot yoga class where you're doing like a vinyasa class that you would in a normal temperature room, and then you're doing it in a room that's like 100 and, 10 degrees, whatever, you're putting so much stress on your body to the point where it's like actually like can be damaging in the long term. Like there is a lot of more recent research, because like researchers can't believe that people are doing this, because it's like it's not good. Like it feels like you're getting a much better workout, but you're really putting a lot of unnecessary stress on your body.
So is that hot yoga that you're talking about, or a hot exercise class,
Well, I mean, it's the
or
same thing with a
both?
hot cycle
Yeah, your
class.
heart rate is getting up. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would say the only ones that I really know about are hot cycle and hot yoga. I
Oh,
don't.
hot cycle? Are you joking?
Well, okay. Remember, Lara, when we were at that cycle class over winter break and it was like significantly hotter than our previous class?
Yeah, that's
I
true.
literally, it was so much harder to get through the workout because it was the only thing I could think of. I was like, it is too hot in here. And it
Mhm.
wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to be a hot class. I think it was just like a lot of people and the fans weren't going as much, but
Well, there's
just
also the workout HIIT gym across the street called Sweatbox, and that's the
Mhm.
same thing actually. Now that I think about it, it's a HIIT workout.
Yeah.
But you're like your body, when you do a HIIT workout, your body is already at an elevated temperature in a normal room. Like
Mhm.
your
yeah.
body doesn't need to be any hotter to get a better
Mhm.
workout.
I just feel whenever I pass by those, you're inviting heat stroke, or even
Yeah.
at the least fainting. You're just inviting it to your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And it's not like, not saying that this is similar, but people have legitimately died from
Mhm.
outdoor workouts where, I can think of like a few just offhand of people who have been pushed over their limit in hot workout environments, and they
For all the
legitimately
time.
die. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, in our
So not
personal training exam, like that, like 10 questions were about like heat stroke from exercise, because your body, it's just like so much additional stress on the body to
Mhm.
be in
And
heat.
so unnecessary. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I would not, that we are not endorsing that.
Yeah,
That
I
Saunas
wanted to
does
just
not
be clear. We're
endorse.
pro sauna, but not necessarily pro
pro hot
exercise
workout.
in a
Yeah.
sauna.
No, we're actually very anti
Yeah.
that.
All right, that's my whole presentation.
That was so exciting and fun to
That was
listen
so
to.
good. I've been really curious about that for a while. Did you,
Thanks.
I guess my last question is, did you learn anything about, like, other than just not, I don't want to say people being stupid, but like any like negatives of doing a sauna or an ice bath outside, like negative medical impacts, not just like people, staying in them for too long or.
Um, yeah, I think that, you know, if you are someone who is pregnant, maybe think about that before you go into an extremely cold lake or something like that. Use good judgment. And I think the biggest warning that people had was basically, if you're diagnosed with known heart problems, past heart attack, cardiac history, angina, any of that, be really careful, because it does put a stress on your heart.
Yeah.
But if you're, so far as chilling, I I think it's great. But, don't get stuck in a hot sauna like I thought I was.
Yeah,
Because
don't burn your
it
skin
won't be
off.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have like 3 quick things to note. I don't have questions, but I think that these would be interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
One, one of my family members growing up, they would make their own sauna in the backyard. And it always scared me so bad because I knew it was like deeply like it's so unsafe to do that. Like you should not do that. Do not recommend doing that. Meaning he didn't build a sauna. It was like a tent with like yeah.
Oh.
And so what they would do is like
What was the heat source?
um I think they would bring in something that was like steaming, like it was like packed steam. Like there's no way to regulate temperature, right? Like so it's just like a sweat box. And then after the sauna, they would all like a lot of my family members would do this. Go in the sweat box and then they would immediately jump into the cold pool. And
Mm-hmm.
which is fine, but like when I was younger, I just feel like my brain had heard don't go too quickly from hot to cold because your heart can't handle it.
I
And
had also
so
heard that.
yeah, and so I just remember always being so stressed, and like I had done research as like a teenager on like the homemade saunas that are like out of tents, and everyone was like, you will die. Like do not do it.
Ooh.
And so I was always so paranoid about it, but I was like, why couldn't they just build like a wooden sauna, like a normal sauna? That would be really
Yeah.
cool. But no.
Those do also catch on fire. I know that for a
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah.
Give you that fact for free. But they do sell really cool ones, especially out of those Baltic countries. I got in a super deep hole of looking at these fancy, beautiful wooden craft saunas that you can, get shipped to your home. And they're gorgeous.
Yeah. And then the two other things is with just like cold therapy. One of the other reasons that I've been thinking about is because when I've had really intense panic attacks in the past, like cold therapy is what like snaps me out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have heard people, and I don't know if it's true or not, like basically say that cold showers trains your nervous system to just kind of be a little more baseline
Mm-hmm.
in everyday situations. So that's an interesting fact. And then lastly, I follow someone on Instagram who I like, again, not making any claims, but she brings in her dog who's dying of like terminal cancer and has a bunch of tumors all on its body. And she brings the dog into the sauna just for a little bit of time. And it's like significantly shrunk its tumors and like extended its life far beyond what they thought. Like they thought he only had a couple months to live or something, and it's been like longer.
That's great.
Yeah, like it's not curing it, but it's helping.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even if it just helps with the pain of
Yeah,
something, I think that's worth it.
totally.
Um, yeah,
Wow, good job, Lara.
A plus,
thanks.
Lar. That was a
Oh,
great topic.
thanks.
Yeah,
It's
really
really
good
fun.
topic.
One weird fact that I learned is that like um in in Finnish, I guess, culture in a, the childhood of a Finnish person, it's really instilled that you will never swear or discuss controversial topics while
Mm,
bathing in a sauna.
sauna
And
etiquette.
yeah, sauna etiquette. So I feel like I should maybe print out some things for our gym because I've heard some
Literally. I've
out of
heard
pocket
some messy stuff
conversations.
in the saunas.
Yes. Yeah. So that's all.
I would be curious to know like um the effects on a hot tub in relation to effects of a sauna.
Yeah. Or like,
Yeah.
what is the difference between a steam room and a sauna?
Moisture.
True. Very true. But for purposes of health articles, all of the articles that I will link were very, very clear, saying this is stuff that we know for a dry sauna. We are not claiming to know benefits from a steam sauna. I think that the steam sauna sometimes makes me feel better just because I feel like I'm already sweating so much when I'm hot that when there's moisture in the air, it almost feels like I'm not totally drying out into a raisin. Whereas sometimes when I'm in the hot sauna, I'm like, "Ugh, I'm already in Colorado, like my skin's already dry. I don't know." But
Yeah,
I mean, gotta be similar benefits, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So
Cool.
Yay.
let us know if you have any luck with cold showers or sauna or Wim Hof or anything.
Give us a ring.
Write us.
Yeah. Try it out, friends. Just 20 breaths in the cold shower. You can do it. you can do it for 20 breaths.
20 breaths is a while. Last time I did it like 2 weeks ago, I did 10 breaths.
It was great. I wasn't as angry afterwards.
Yeah, maybe let's start with 5 breaths, tiny habits.
Yeah, there we
tiny
go.
habits, build up.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, have a great week.
XOXO,
Okay, bye.
bye.